Worlds! I will give you the greatest games on Earth!
Show them you can fight or die trying.
From the producers of 300.
A 4-horse race is a suicide.
Let the games begin!
Starring Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins.
Behold, this arena will be built for Rome.
Rise or die.
Those About to Die. A new Peacock original series streaming July 18th.
The start of winter in December 2006 was some kind of record-breaking mild across Canada, let's just say that. It was actually the warmest it had been in 60 years. Hi, I'm Chris May, writer, producer, and host of This Day in Weather History, now in its second year from the Weather Network in Canada. Ontario was forced to lay off 1,300 workers because they were also forced to close down all ski operations this day in weather history. The new year is a time for new beginnings, new hope, new adventures. For skiers, it can mean new skis, new board, new challenges. Unless it suddenly gets as warm as Florida all over your ski resorts. On December 21st of 2006, no one even noticed it was the first official day of winter. After all, Toronto had seen less than a centimeter of snow. I don't even know why they counted it. But even Montreal had only seen 11 centimeters. This was not looking good for the season known as winter. But you know what we always say, it just takes one snowstorm to turn things around. But will it this time? Sadly, by January 5th of 2007, this day in weather history, the third busiest ski resort in Canada, after Whistler, BC, and Tremblant, Quebec, and Ontario's largest ski resort, Blue Mountain in Collingwood, it was the first time in the resort's 65-year history where they actually closed in a season for poor conditions. Oh, don't get me wrong. Blue had faced mild moments before. All ski hills and mountains do. But Blue had never had to close before. This was truly troublesome. By 7 a.m. on the morning of January 5th, the city of Toronto hit a record high of 11 degrees Celsius, besting the previous record from exactly 10 years prior in 1997, when it was only 10 degrees. Oh, and this happened, by the way, after an overnight that experienced the warmest January evening temperatures in 167 years. That's it. This was the final straw. All their hills were closed, leaving ski rentals empty and visitors now scrambling to create innovative new ways to have fun off the hills. So you're asking, what about fake snow? Blue Mountain has state-of-the-art snowmaking machines and technology. Well, you see, Blue Mountain needs temperatures also to be between -2 and -6 to make that fake snow. So needless to say, these temperatures were the furthest thing from that. And the big picture wasn't any better. Still, by mid-January, the ground in eastern Canada was soft. Lakes and rivers were ice-free. We still had no snow. Heck, the leaves were still on the trees. Geese at this time of the year either thought they had the wrong season or they were already south. By this time, much of Lake Simcoe is normally totally frozen over and populated by ice fishing huts. However, this year, police were still out in patrol boats making sure that other boaters were staying safe and following proper boating rules. Mother Nature was as confused as winter lovers were downtrodden. But like a New Year miracle, on January 9th, a good old-fashioned dumping of 20 centimeters of snow fell in parts of Ontario. And just like that, Blue Mountain was back up and running, with at least 200 so far of the idled employees having returned to the job. It wasn't ideal, but it was a start, and way better than the grassy, muddy hills and spring-like conditions from this day in weather history. Hey, do you like the podcast? We'd love to hear from you. If you have an idea, go right now to wherever you're listening to me and rate us if you would, please. It's on a 5-star system, and we would love as many stars as you can afford. So rate us, but then also review us. This way we can always stay on top of how you'd like to see the show evolve. Then remember to subscribe to this podcast. Click the subscribe or follow button right there on the very same podcast homepage you're listening on. You'll be immediately reminded that the next day is ready to listen to, and you also have access to every episode in the archives. It dates back to June 1st of 2020, so there is a lot that we got to get caught up on this day in weather history. Tomorrow is January 6th, and we look back at an event that happened in 1986 when an NBA basketball game got rained out. What? It's weird, but it happened. It wasn't a special outdoor game either, so just what gives here? Together, we're going to find out tomorrow at tip-off of This Day in Weather History with me, your host, Chris May.